This is piersmorgan versus Cenk Uygur. This was it. Okay, here comes.
Welcome back. The G7, including the UK and US, is calling for humanitarian pauses in Gaza. Many other countries in the Middle East are demanding a full ceasefire. Israel has ruled out a ceasefire, while Hamas holds around 240 hostages who were killed during the deadly attacks on October the 7th.
This is not calling ceasefire, I guess.
There's already tactical pauses in its daily assaults on the Gaza Strip, where more than 10,500 people reportedly now being killed in Gaza, including over 4,000 children. That's according to the Hamas-run health ministry. On Sunday, the Pope made an urgent plea to stop the conflict, saying, "I pray to you to stop in the name of God, cease the fire." So with so much bloodshed, is it time for a ceasefire? Joining me now to discuss this, America's rabbi, best-selling author, Rabbi Shmuley, and welcome back to Young Turks creator and Democratic presidential challenger, Cenk Uygur. Well, welcome to both of you. Cenk, let me start with you. Many people are calling for a ceasefire. Queen Rania of Jordan, Angelina Jolie, Arab leaders, and so on. I presume
How is Angelina Jolie involved in this?
You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are enough Palestinian civilians. And even Netanyahu, in an interview with ABC News, said, now that we're on the ground, we're finally pressuring Hamas on hostages. Oh, so the 7,000 you dropped were totally useless and collective punishment, and your attempt to civilians on purpose as some sort of sick vengeance. So please stop this ceasefire right now.
Rabbi Shmuley, your response?
Cenk is polling in the Democratic presidential primaries at 0%, nothing. He has a greater likelihood of being elected the new king of France. And don't interrupt me, please. And the reason is that the American people are decent. They understand that Cenk's anti-Semitism, which he has voiced on your show repeatedly, calling Jews dares, and this is the eve of Kristallnacht, the 85th anniversary of the start of he would deny the Jewish people the only dignity left to us, that we were victims of, and he would say that we are the Gestapo for simply wanting to defend ourselves against the brutality and the savagery of Hamas. Cenk.
He just started, man.
You'll have your turn. Just show some decency. If you're not going to show it to my people, show it to me and show it to the viewers of the show.
Stop.
But who is
lying.
surprised that a man? Who is surprised that a man the name of whose podcast is Young Turks, who perpetrated the Armenian genocide? The Young Turks is like calling your podcast the young Gestapo. They 1.5 to 2 million Armenians between 1915 and 1918.
What does that have to do with anything? Discuss the ongoing topic.
The Armenian community has begged Cenk to change the name of his show. For the first half of his life, he was a complete Armenian genocide denier. Then he changed. Now he is a denier because he is saying that the Jews are engaged in a genocide of the Palestinians. Now, which nation? How can there be 1.8 million Muslim Arab citizens?
Rabbi Shmuley, okay. I'm going to go to Cenk. You said some very strong things about Cenk. You can now respond, Cenk.
Yeah, you should never have this guy on air. Everything he said is a lie. I don't deny the insanity. And in terms of the Armenian, there is a powerful analogy there. Why? And yes, it was. Why? Because they moved and displaced so many people and civilians on the way. What is Israel doing? Moving and displacing millions of people and killing innocent civilians. It is the exact definition of it. So I think the Jewish people are an amazing people, and their culture is beautiful, and I don't tolerate any anti-Semitism. But I think that the occupation is decaying the moral core of Israel. How long are you going to oppress these people?
But Cenk,
and I know this guy, all he wants to do is an ad hominem attack. He's a liar, and you could tell exactly what kind of indecent human being he is. But the main reason he's doing it is to avoid the topic. When are you going to stop murdering Palestinians and cheerleading it?
Okay.
If you're talking about genocide, you're the one right now doing this.
May I respond?
At home, at first was kind of weird.
Go Go ahead.
You know, I've spent my life debating people. Whenever someone starts using personal names
It's not very good at it then.
and screaming like a lunatic, they're losing the debate. Let me remain
You're
factual.
the one
First
who
of all,
made up things.
The Palestinians were offered a state in 1936 in the Peel Commission. They rejected it.
Schizo.
They were offered a state in 1947, the UN partition plan. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 1967 after Israel conquered Judea and Samaria and the West Bank. They rejected it. They were offered a state in 2000, Yasser Arafat, Ehud Barak. They rejected it. They were offered a state with Ehud Olmert, 2008. They rejected it. Israel unilaterally withdrew from Gaza in 2005, and they did not create a state. In fact, where were you, Cenk, when you say that you care about Palestinian children, when Hamas stole the highest rate of per capita international foreign aid, larger than the Marshall Plan, from Palestinian children, did not build schools for them, did not build hospitals, took all the money to buy and to build a network of tunnels, which is larger than the New York subway system. Where were you then? Did you only come up now? In fact, when Bashar al-Assad, 600,000 children, Arab children, when he gassed them with mustard gas, my organization took out full-page New York Times ads to protect them from sarin gas. Where were you then? You don't care about Arab children. You are a Jew hater, defined as someone who only
Wait, this is when Uncle Piers.
lie and say that the Jews are dares. And don't try to cancel me and say that I shouldn't be on. You're not a producer of this show. Because you are ignorant of the facts and ignorant of the history does not mean that you can cancel my voice.
Cenk, your response.
Okay, so first of all, this guy is a full-blown bigot. He's one of the most racist people I have ever seen, does not value Palestinian lives at all. And everything he said about me is 100% untrue. I was vicious in my criticism of Bashar al-Assad. I have criticized Hamas over and over again, and I think what they did in the attack against Israel was reprehensible. But for God's sake, how long are you going to occupy these people? For me, the idea of Israelis and Palestinians or Muslims or Jews being different is absurd. Those are just stupid labels that we put on people. They're all human beings. I value the Israeli life just as much as I value the Palestinian life. We're all human. Stop using these nonsense labels.
Cenk, let me ask you a question.
All this guy wants to do is more Palestinians.
Cenk, let me ask
when
you.
Are you going to let them go?
Yes.
Cenk, let me ask you a question. You mentioned there. What Hamas is actually in its charter dedicated to doing is the purest personification of. Well, it is. They want to see the eradication of Israel, and they proved on October the 7th they will kill as many Jews as they can possibly get their hands on. So that is pure. What Israel is doing in return, I don't think meets the category of genocide, right? Because they don't want to get rid of every Palestinian, kill every Palestinian.
No.
They want to kill every Hamas terrorist. Now, there are legitimate question marks about how they're going
It's kind of subjective, I guess.
about this and about the civilian casualties. But there is a moral distinction between what Hamas is dedicated to doing and what Israel is dedicated to doing, isn't there?
No. First of all, Hamas is a bunch of idiots. They should take that stuff out of their charter. All it does is hurt the Palestinian cause.
I agree.
There's no call for it. It's dumb and it's immoral. But Hamas claims that they would like to do these things, and from time to time they do these attacks that are horrible and they should never do. But Israel actually, Palestinians, actually occupies Palestine, actually denies the Palestinians a state. So there's this absurd talk of like, oh, if Hamas was super powerful, they might deny Israel its existence. Except Israel does exist. And the Palestinian state does not exist because Israel is blocking their state. So stop using, and I'm not saying it to you, Piers, but this propaganda, hold on.
You know, Cenk,
Just let the man talk for a second.
Cenk, you and I are almost the same age, and I'm actually quite worried for how upset you get on TV. You got to protect your health. You're just kind of losing it. Now, calm down.
Because I'm upset that you keep advocating
when
for
you
the
keep
murder
on
of
saying,
civilians.
Cenk, you have
Like
to stop
He's entertaining people, so...
yelling. You have to stop screaming, and you need to know the facts. The Palestinians were offered a state 7 times, and they rejected it 7 times. Bill Clinton told Yasser Arafat in 2000, you have made me a failure as president because Israel was giving you 97% of Judea and Samaria and the old city of Jerusalem. And Ehud Barak even offered the Temple Mount the holiest site in Judaism, and the Palestinians rejected it. You simply don't know the history. Read a book. In fact, read a Wikipedia article before you get on TV. Number two, you made a very good point before, Piers, that Winston Churchill is the greatest British statesman and hero of the 20th century. Let's remember, when Churchill was faced with, you know what he did, which Israel would never consider doing? He laid waste to 70% of Dresden, Essen, Cologne, Berlin. He eviscerated Germany and turned it into a parking lot. About 6 million German civilians. Israel has never even considered doing 1,000th of that. And FDR acquiesced to it, and he's considered our greatest president of the 20th century. And then Harry Truman dropped 2 atomic bombs on Nagasaki, Hiroshima. So and Israel has nuclear weapons, has never considered doing that. Israel opened up.
Well, they've actually. Okay, let me come at you, Rabbi.
I have one question.
I want to come back to you on 2 points.
Simple question, Cenk.
No. I want to ask you a question, Rabbi.
Call Winston Churchill on this show today. Will you call Churchill?
Piers doesn't exist.
Okay, so Rabbi Shmuley, if you're actually a rabbi, the standards of history have changed. So the Mongols went into Baghdad, man, woman, and child, 800,000 people, the largest city in the world. Now, we don't live by those standards anymore. And right now, if a modern British prime minister or American president advocated for dropping a nuclear bomb in Japan or 70% of the people that live in Dresden, you're damn right I'd call. It's a different situation today than it was in the past. And so what you're saying is, hey, we only 1,000 civilians wantonly and recklessly, and we only did a partial.
Yeah, so don't compare the past with the future.
We're not as guilty.
Well, no.
I'm not buying it at all.
Rabbi Shmuley, I want to ask you a question.
Okay,
hang on, Rabbi, I want to ask you a question, which is this. Which is the unique scenario in Gaza, is that nearly half of the civilian population are children. They have nothing to do with this. They're not politicians. They're not in Hamas. They're not military. They're kids. And they are in their thousands being here. And I ask you, really, is there any limit, you as a rabbi, of the number of children who need to be to get rid of Hamas here, or is there no limit?
Of course there's a limit. We mourn the death of every Arab, Muslim, Palestinian child as if a Jewish child. They are absolutely equal before God. That's why Israel withdrew completely and utterly in 2005, something that Cenk will not even acknowledge. There isn't one Israeli soldier, there wasn't until this new invasion, because of the attack on Sderot, I went to those places. Piers, I was there 2 weeks ago. I saw the blood caked on the walls, congealed to 3 or 4 inches. I saw the knives that were used entire families. We saw the place where Thai, not Jewish, Thai farm workers who were growing pumpkins were. We saw the body of Shani Luke, and I spoke to her mother Ricarda, who was taken. These are religious men in Hamas. Take it in her under body. These neck savages. We saw all that. How many Palestinian children need to die? God forbid, not one. All Hamas needs to do is let the civilian population go south. Stop using them as human shields. Hamas wants these Palestinian children to die. Every Palestinian child to Hamas is a bulletproof vest.
But you said
they exist for no other reason than to humiliate Israel. Let them go south and be safe. But Hamas wants them.
But Rabbi Shmuley,
it's Hamas's fault. It's Hamas's fault. It's Hamas's fault.
Rabbi Shmuley, you did say there is a limit. What is that limit?
Piers. It's hard to put a number on how many people Hamas is prepared to allow to die in order to destroy the state of Israel. Remember, Hamas's motto is from the sea, from sea to sea, Israel will be, Palestine will be free. It's the annihilation of everything. Iran calls for it openly. This is the eve of Kristallnacht. I don't want to put a number on how many Palestinian children. I want a ceasefire right now. Hamas must surrender unconditionally, just like FDR and just like Churchill demanded unconditional surrender, release the hostages. We get a ceasefire right now. Cenk, let me ask you to call for a ceasefire by having Hamas, who you think actually cares about the Palestinian population, to announce their surrender. Call for their surrender right now. They launched this attack unprovoked against Israel. 1,400 people. They are holding little whose diapers need to be changed as hostages. Call for them to surrender unconditionally.
All right, Cenk, final word to you.
Can we?
Okay. So, look, all this is nonsense. First of all, Israel did not withdraw. They control the borders of Gaza 100%. And as you can tell now, they cut off the water and power anytime they want. The Jewish people have been oppressed throughout history. My heart goes out to the Jewish people for all the pain and the suffering that they have endured through all of these years. But now Israel, unfortunately, is not the oppressed. It is the oppressor. Look at them dropping 7,000 on grandmothers and children. There's an American nurse that explained on CNN yesterday about how she sees little kids with all across their bodies. So Hamas is terrible. Yes, I can call for their surrender. That's easy. I don't like Hamas. I think Hamas is Muslim fundamentalist. But it's an impossible standard, and you know they're not going to meet that standard. And because you want to keep civilians to show them how mighty you are and what a great oppressor you are. I'm sick of it. And it's not only ruining the Palestinians and causing their deaths, but it is ruining, it is causing the moral decay of Israel.
Blood libel. This is a blood libel against the Jewish people. You may as well just say that we drink the blood of Christian children in our mouths. Cenk, you are guilty of a blood libel on the eve of Kristallnacht. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm going to call.
Change the name of your show away from young Turks who
I'm going to try and wrestle things back to the host here and call a ceasefire for now. It's been a fascinating debate, very passionate on both sides. I get that. I appreciate you both agreeing to debate each other. I think that's important in this situation. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. This guy's ruining. There's tremendous anti-Semitism in the world. By crying wolf, he's actually hurting the Jewish cause tremendously.
From people like you.
Okay, you're
still going on.
a bigot. Stop Palestinians, you bigot.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good day.